Welcome in to Building the Pride. As you can see, Drew is not with me today, so I am your host for right now. Mike, Drew will be popping in here in a little bit, I believe. So you're stuck with me. I don't know what to tell you. Welcome, Joey, already in the chat. Good evening, buddy. I think what we're going to do today is we'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about some of the NFL awards from this past week. We kind of had our predictions the previous week, and we'll kind of talk about where we were at with those. We'll talk about maybe some Lions team awards, who was our offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, all that kind of stuff. We'll preview upcoming episodes. So let's start talking Super Bowl. I'm kind of curious what you guys thought of the game. Overall, I thought the game was kind of boring, to be honest. For the first half, it was really sloppy. I was a little surprised how sloppy it was. We had a couple turnovers by the Niners. We had a couple turnovers by the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes threw his first interception in the playoffs in like 9 playoff games or 8 playoff games, something like that. So I think that was a little bit unexpected there. Kind of a defensive battle. I thought it was going to be a little bit lower scoring. And it ended up being kind of low scoring at the end of the game anyway. But the Chiefs had a damn good defense. The Niners had a great defense, and both of those defenses showed up. To me, I think the biggest keys of the game were defense, but I thought the first half was the Chiefs. They were. I don't want to say they were flustered, but man, that Niners defense was all over him. Mahomes did not get a ton of time. He didn't. The plays weren't developing. They just didn't execute well on offense. And the Niners just kind of had their way with them, but had a couple turnovers. They drove down the field and fumbled in the red zone. That cost them points. I think that the second half was really the polar opposite. I thought the Niners stopped doing what they were doing best. I thought they stopped going to McCaffrey as much. They put the game in Brock Purdy's hands, far more often, and he played well. He was, he's a rookie, second-year guy, but like he's a really young dude. Early in his career in a huge pressure game, I thought he played really well. Didn't make any complete blunders that cost them the game or anything like that. He was not the reason they lost. That said, he also wasn't the reason, that they could win. But that second half, I think the Chiefs just decided they were going to win. And they turned everything around. Their defense started playing better, got more pressure on Purdy. The whole first half, Purdy was just sitting there doing whatever he wanted. He had time. They gave McCaffrey running lanes. In the second half, I thought the Chiefs defense stepped it up. They made some adjustments at halftime and was able to really just kind of pound that ball down the field, just like the Niners did to them earlier in the game. So I'm kind of curious who in chat what your thoughts were about the games. Were there any particular plays that stuck out to you? Any particular players? I think the coaching, I think on both sides was really good. I do think that, if you had to pick one to outcoach the other, I think clearly Andrew Reid outcoached Kyle Shanahan. Especially that second half and in overtime. I know Shanahan took a lot of crap, and the Niners took a lot of crap because they didn't know the overtime playoff rules were different than regular playoff rules. At least the players didn't. Their fullback, I cannot pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try, but I know their fullback was talking about, I didn't know that the rules were different. We never talked about it as a team. We didn't talk about it strategically, so I just assumed that we wanted the ball because first touchdown wins, and we thought we were going to score a touchdown. Shanahan, on the other hand, was asked about it after the game. He's like, "Oh, I knew they were different." He's like, "I wanted the ball third. It wasn't about getting the ball first. It wasn't about getting the ball second. It was about getting the ball third, under the assumption we're going to go down and score a touchdown, and we either win or they go down and score a touchdown. But after that, we want that ball next if they do happen to tie it up, so that way we can then go in and next score wins at that point." Which that makes sense. I understand that philosophy. I do think that's a polar opposite of what the Chiefs did. The Chiefs talked about it for 2 straight weeks in practices. They had strategy sessions. Every single player knew what the plan was and why. And the Chiefs, if they won the coin toss, they were going to give San Francisco the ball anyway, because they didn't want the ball third. They wanted the ball second, because if the Niners go down and score a touchdown, they were going to go down and score a touchdown and go for 2. If the Niners go down and score a field goal, they know what they need to do. They know they need to at least kick a field goal, touchdown wins. And if they were going to go down and score a touchdown anyway, they knew they were going to go for 2. So as far as they were concerned, there was never going to be a third possession by any team. Either you stop our 2-point conversion and win the game, we lose, or you can't stop us and we win the game. So I think that was one of those chess versus checkers moments where Kyle Shanahan was maybe playing a really damn good game of checkers, and Andy Reid was playing chess, and Shanahan, I don't think, knew what kind of hit him there. So overall, I thought the game was good. God, that fourth quarter was super exciting. The overtime, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe the Niners are going to pull this crap out. And then, the Mahomes just comes in and he's like, I'm just not going to lose. That's just not what I do. I'm not going to put up with this crap. We're going to go down and score. A couple really good drives at the end of the game and in overtime. And I think the other thing that was interesting was, I think if the Chiefs had gotten the ball first, they don't go for it. It was like fourth. I don't remember the yardage, but it was early in their drive in overtime. They had a 3rd and long, and they knew they had to go down and score a touchdown. So they knew they were in 2-down territory even on 3rd down, right? So they went, and obviously they went for it on 4th down, because if they punt, it's the end of the game. All right. So I think kicking off just automatically makes it the right move. Any other move is just, I think, wrong when it comes to the strategy of overtime in the playoffs. If they had received the ball, guaranteed they punt there, right? You're not gonna go for on 4th down on like your 27-yard line or something like that, because if you miss it, it's a field goal, they win. So They went for it. They got it. Man, Mahomes was amazing. That entire fourth quarter in the overtime, taking that ball, and on 3rd down, he ran a long ass ways, 20-something yards. Didn't even slide. He just puts his shoulder down and like, I'm gonna get the extra 2 yards because I'm not sliding on this one. And I think he was also the guy that kept it on the 4th and 1 or whatever on that same drive. But it felt inevitable once they got the ball, and especially once they converted on that 4th down. I'm like, game's over, and the Niners just don't know it yet. So I am kind of curious, Joey, if you're still in chat there, what your thoughts were on the game. Anybody else that wants to pop in? And make notes there. But the halftime show, was not super impressed with it. I don't really care about the halftime shows anyway. I will say the openers, all 3 of the acts, Post Malone had, surprisingly great voice. I knew he had a surprisingly good voice. Like, you don't match that voice with, the looks, right? So he did a fantastic job. Reba McEntire did a fantastic job, and I don't remember who sang the Lift Every Voice song, but she was amazing. I thought all of those acts were really good. Hey, Drewster,
here I am.
Welcome, buddy. We're just talking about the Super Bowl and kind of did a quick wrap up there. And Zeka asks, is Steve Spagnuolo the best coordinator in the league? He may go down as one of the best defensive coordinators in history, to be honest.
That's an excellent question. I guess I don't know if I can answer that, to be honest. Like, certainly he is contributing to getting to the Super Bowl. I think that's obvious. Like, and he certainly seems like he has a plan for his competition when they're in the Super Bowl. And is he one of the best coordinators? I don't know. Sure, I think that the nice way to do it is just to agree and say, like, yeah, he's probably one of the better Super Bowl coordinators ever.
Yeah, and surprisingly, he was not up for assistant coach of the year.
Well, there's no narrative for him.
Well, true, but the Chiefs were the number 3 defense in the NFL. Now, granted, you're looking at a total of 5 nominees, and you got offense and defense. So, right. You can have the top 3 offense and the top 2 defense, and you just don't make it because you're the number 3 defense or whatever. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the game, other than Patrick Mahomes just can't be stopped? That was my takeaway.
I guess my thoughts on the game were, this is what it looks like when 2 really high-level teams are playing their best, is that they make each other look worse than they actually are. I talked to a couple people about it. I watched it with my parents, and everybody was like, meh. First half was meh, and I was like,
this is sloppy.
I think that if you and this is not me, by the way. Like, I think if someone who really understood football, like on a play-by-play kind of basis, was watching that, I think those people would be enjoying this Super Bowl a lot more. So,
yeah,
like the way that I think about it is, when I was a kid, like when I was in college, I wrote an essay on the World Wrestling Federation of the WWF at the time, and I went down to one of their developmental leagues in Cincinnati, Ohio.
That's a thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Interesting.
They've all been kind of consolidated into what's known as NXT now, which is their developmental junior WWE. But like, I went down and talked to the guys that ran it and talked to some of their stars, and they were like, so did you watch WrestleMania, which was like the week before? And I said, yeah. And they were like, what was your favorite match? And I told them. And then they were like, what was your least favorite match? And that was the year that Undertaker fought Chris Jericho. And I thought it was just old. It was just boring. And so I said, my least favorite match was Undertaker versus Jericho. And they were like, oh, that was the best match. And I was like, really? Why? And they were like, because that was the most technical, supposed to be wrestling match that they had. Everything else was
theatrics
and theatrics, but that was what wrestling used to be, like at its essence. And that's kind of what I felt like this Super Bowl was. Like, we, as a casual fan of football in the NFL, I don't really have an appreciation for what I think was actually happening. So,
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it felt a little sloppy. A couple turnovers that we're not used to seeing from those 2 teams. I was saying that I thought Brock Purdy played really well for someone that young in that kind of a game. He played fine. Like, he didn't make any blunders. He didn't cost his team turnovers or games or anything like that. And I thought he handled it really well as a second-year player. Mr. Irrelevant that they had to tell you 74 times throughout the game definitely did not play to his draft position.
Yeah, no. So I thought I didn't have any problems with the game. I thought the game was pretty good, to be honest, especially the second half and later. I thought were really fun to watch, enjoyable watch. Not the best game of football I watched all year, but
I thought that fourth quarter and overtime was exciting. That's where, like, if the whole game was that way, that would have been just epic. But there was a lot of it's like boxing, right? Blow after blow, and it was kind of like a stalemate, a lot of locking heads and whatnot. But once that fourth quarter hit, I thought it was, you just can't stop Patrick Mahomes when he decides that he wants to win. Andy Reid, is just, I was just saying, like, I think, well, so I guess before, because you didn't hear me talking, the other, anybody watching did, but what was your take on the overtime stuff with the Niners players supposedly not having known what the overtime rules were when it comes to how they were different than regular season rules, and Shanahan's decision to take the ball when they won the coin toss?
I didn't know what the overtime rules were. I mean,
oh, that's not your job, though.
I mean, but like, if I'm Kyle Juszczyk and I'm a fullback, I don't know how knowing the rules changes my job. If I'm Brandon Ayuk, I don't know how the rules changes my job. Like, if the coaches tell me to go line up and run a 7 route on 4th and 3, okay. It doesn't matter what point in the game we're in. I don't need to know that if we score a touchdown right here, it wins the game. That's for the fucking coaching staff. They make the decisions about that kind of stuff, So I don't think I think that the other guy was Eric Armstead, the Niners D end. Yeah. He was like, I didn't know what they were. And I was like, doesn't matter.
I found it interesting, just the way as a coaching, like the Chiefs, every single person knew. They talked about it for 2 weeks as a team. They strategized. They talked about the strategy, why everybody on that squad was on the same page. They knew what the plan was and why. And on the Niners side, Kyle Shanahan knew, presumably his OC and DC, right, his coaching staff. But it didn't sound like any of the players knew. So I find that an interesting like dynamic between the two different coaching styles. One is like that you only need to know what plays I send you, right? And the other one is like, as a team, we're strategizing together. We're explaining it. Everybody's on the same page. And I don't know if that's just Andy Reid having been in his position as a head coach for like 2 decades, and it's just a thing that you realize at some point is you're just better if everybody's on the same page, even on things that don't really change how someone plays the game. Whereas Shanahan's a little bit younger. I'm assuming he's going to take this and learn from it, and probably will have a more clear direction in future games when it comes to this kind of thing.
I mean, I don't know how it hurt him. So, and then I didn't have the problem with them taking the ball. Like Kyle Shanahan came out and said, like, we wanted the ball 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay. So that scenario didn't work out, but it very easily could have. Very easily.
It never would have happened, though, is the thing. They didn't know that, but it never would have happened because Kansas City.
That's the point.
I was just saying that I think taking the ball second is always the right call, and taking the ball first is never the right call. And the reason
in that particular scenario,
in the overtime of in a playoff overtime with these rules, I do believe that the 100% right call is to always not take the ball if it's your option. Give the other team the ball. Because, go ahead.
But like that only works out this way because they kicked the field goal and the Chiefs went down and scored a touchdown.
No.
Yes.
And here's why.
Okay.
If they had scored a touchdown, the Chiefs already knew that. In fact, the Chiefs were going to kick them the ball. That was their plan. Why? Because if they go down and score a touchdown, we have to go down and score a touchdown. If they kick a field goal, we know what we have to do, right? Going second, you know what you have to do. If they score a touchdown, you know you have to score a touchdown. If they score a field goal, you know you have to at least score a field goal. If they punt, you know you can do whatever the hell you want. So you always have more information going second. Also, they had decided there is no going third. There will be no third possession. If they score a touchdown, we have to go down and score a touchdown. And they decided we will be going for 2-point conversion. There will be no third possession. So, like, you
don't know that if you're Kyle Shanahan.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. He didn't know that, but
Right.
I think going when you look at that from an Andy Reid like if I'm a coach and I hear that and I go, that's 100% what I would do too. Like I would always, and because of that, I think you just going second is always better because you know what you have to do. Think of the early in their drive, the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a 3rd and long, but they knew they had to go down and get at least a field goal. You're in 2-down territory, even though you're on your own 28 or 31 or whatever. So you make your plays different because of that. It's 4th and 1 now. If it's 4th and 1 on your own 27 and you have the ball, you're putting it every time.
Nope, that's not what the chart says to do.
On your own 27 in overtime, you go for it on 4th and 1.
The chart says, and because I looked this up because of all the goddamn Dan Campbell shit. The chart says that you are better off to go for it on 4th and 1 if you are on your own 9-yard line
in overtime. Next score wins.
Then it doesn't matter the scenario. Like the way the percentages work out is if you have it 4th and 1 from your 9-yard line, the other 91 yards of the field, you're better off going for it. That's the way the math
I feel like there's got to be something like scenario wise, like in the regular season, first quarter, yeah, go for it. Right, you got time to come back.
Only the consequences of the actions change. The math says that based upon it being 4th and 1 and the conversion rate on 4th and 1,
yeah,
it is the correct decision to go for it on 4th and 1 from your own 9-yard line at any point in the field.
And would you be cool with that?
No, but I'm not comfortable with what Dan Campbell's doing. But the answer I get on all this shit is that this is what the analytics say. The analytics say to go for it. The chart says to do this. So Kyle Shanahan wanted to have the ball 3rd because in his mind, he saw a scenario that was X.
Touchdown. We get the ball next score wins.
Right. It didn't work out that way.
Yeah, and I think that
you cannot blame Kyle Shanahan for that.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, like, looking back at that, that wasn't a thing that I would have thought of, right? I wouldn't have thought. But I probably would have thought what Kyle Shanahan thought. But after like watching things play out and just realizing that knowing what you have to accomplish is easier or more important than not knowing what you have to accomplish. Yeah, extra information is critical. And the whole idea of, all right, if you guys score a touchdown, we're going to score a touchdown, and then we're going to get a 2-point conversion. There is no 3rd possession anyway. Like, I would say that the right answer is pretty much always to kick the ball off. Like, don't get the ball in overtime if you can help it.
If the Chiefs' plan was to go to, say it goes touchdown, and their plan was to go for a 2-point conversion, that's fucking stupid as far as I'm concerned.
You just drove 75 to 90 yards.
Sure, you want to, and you think they're going to on one play? That's great. Go ahead, Gambling River Dan or whatever. That's fine.
Riverboat Dan.
You want to list. You want to do if you just drove the width of the field or whatever, then you can do the whole thing again.
Yeah, except they're going to get the ball back, and all they have to do is kick a field goal.
Sure,
and I think that's why they would do that, right? Like you don't go for 2 because they would have just scored. Like they would have just driven all the way down and scored, and you drive all the way down and score. All they have to do is get to like the 35-yard line. They don't even have to score, and they win. So I think it makes sense that like
if you're willing to kick a field goal.
Sure, but that's all you need at that point.
You got to be willing to kick a field goal. Well, I mean, don't you have a better chance of winning the game if you continue to go for it on 4th down? That's what I've been told this entire season is that like, oh, we just got to get to the 35 so we can kick a 52-yard field goal. Yeah, but don't you have a better chance of converting and then getting like a even closer field goal or scoring a touchdown if you need it? Like this is the part of analytics that is just driving me crazy with some of these decisions. Or just like there's only one acceptable time to kick a field goal anymore. And that's if your opponent can never get the ball back and you're guaranteed to win it if you make the field goal, but not really. Like this kind of stuff drives me crazy because it is going to forever be debated. There is no actual right answer. So like if Kyle Shanahan is like, I chose to elect to receive the ball because I thought we needed to get it third if we worked out in this situation. Fine.
Right.
They
I'm not
lost-
saying he was wrong. Like
the
I said,
Super
I
Bowl.
probably would have done that.
Right. So they lost the Super Bowl. So the question's being asked because ESPN needs some shit to talk about or whatever. That's what.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
the way that
like I said, I'm not blaming him for the loss, and I'm not saying it's a blunder of a coaching move. I probably would have done it. I mean, granted, I didn't spend 2 weeks trying to figure out all the different scenarios of what my team's going to do in different situations, like I'm sure he did, and he clearly thought it out. It wasn't just a, oh, we'll take it because that's what we've always done, right? He said, I want the ball third. Totally get it. After listening to what Andy Reid, the way that Andy Reid kind of put it, I think that if it was me, I would kick the ball off, and I would defer every single time. Just having more information about what I need to do versus what I, don't need to do.
I think if Andy Reid said that he was going to go for 2 on like a touchdown in overtime to tie the game to win the Super Bowl, I'd be like, that's beyond, as far as I'm concerned, that's beyond stupid.
I mean, you either trust your team to get 2 yards.
I would rather give my opponents chances to make mistakes than to have basically no outs on one single play. I don't care who you are, unless you want to line up Refrigerator Perry in the backfield and be like, here we go.
Yeah.
Or Super Mario Brothers and have them like jump over 2-dimensional over the line and get into the end zone, then that's a different discussion. But like, I didn't.
Can you imagine the fridge in the tush push era?
My God. It's a guaranteed 3-yard play basically, but like I think that I will simply always have a problem where it's like, oh, if we just go for 2, then we can win the game. If that's the mentality, then you should be going for 2 the entire time, as far as I'm concerned. Like if you're willing to risk the outcome of a game on a successful 1 opportunity 2-point conversion, then just do it all game long. The upside is too great.
So Zeka says, at the end of the day, you're trying to score 7 and stop them from scoring 7. The only thing is, if you take the ball, you're giving Mahomes 4 downs.
I mean, like, I think the NFL, like at this level, is to the point now where if you're the 49ers, you want to use the entire quarter, score a touchdown, and then put the and like you want to score with like 3 seconds left on the clock.
Are you talking about in overtime?
That's the only scenario that anybody.
Yeah, that doesn't matter in overtime.
Right. So like the current NFL, modern NFL is set up to basically be like an offense can go the length of the field, which is I'm defining it like 75 yards in seconds. And it very easily could be like 15-yard in route, 15-yard in route, 15-yard in route. The defense is just playing zone to keep everything in front of them. All of a sudden now we were on the 25, we've gained 45 yards. Oh, look, we're basically in field goal range. Remember, in this game, the record for longest field goal in a Super Bowl was broken twice.
Yeah.
So like, depending on the circumstances, like I don't know that there is a correct way to go about managing these games, because if you're gonna give like Zako said, if you're gonna give Patrick Mahomes 4 downs, he can beat you, and he just might not be able to do anything about that. And like what do you say to the people in San Francisco, like, well, we were playing Patrick Mahomes? Like, that's not going to be an acceptable answer. And like his reasoning for taking the ball in overtime is not an acceptable answer because they lost. If they had stopped the Chiefs, then it doesn't matter. No downside.
Yeah, and to me, like I think it's a very acceptable answer. Like I think, and when was the last time this is the first Super Bowl with these new rules, right?
Yeah.
That actually went into overtime.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not like, well, we've got history that shows that this is the right way to do it, and I decided to do something different, right? They were literally making history as far as, doing overtime with these new rules. So there was nothing else to lean on there.
Basically, yes. So I thought the game was fine. I didn't think there was any drama in the game. The team I wanted to win won, so fine. I'm happy. But like as far as I was concerned, the offseason started as soon as the NFC Championship game ended. So
that's fair. I'm thinking let's review the NFL awards. We kind of did our preview and our guesstimate last time, and we know who the winners are now. So let's talk about those.
Sure.
Let me see if I can find it here. NFL honors. And we'll share that. So we got the stuff scrolling at the bottom. MVP went to Lamar. That was kind of who we thought it would go to. It was almost unanimous. One person voted Josh Allen. Let me zoom in a little bit. Get this crap out of here if I can. Which apparently I can't. Yeah. So I think that was kind of right where we thought. Offensive Player of the Year went to McCaffrey. I think we're 2 for 2 there because I believe that we picked him as well. Defensive Player of the Year, I went with Parsons, and I think you went with Garrett, right?
So before the season started, I bet on Micah Parsons to win this award, but like last week or whatever it was when we talked about it, I thought Myles Garrett would win it based on watching the season, So, and then he did. So, and Pittsburgh fans are super upset. Yeah. I did find it interesting though that like of all of the like top level pass rushers in the NFL, TJ Watt, I believe from the stat that I saw, is double teamed the least of all of them. He faces most, he faces the most one-on-one matchups of
must be nice.
Yeah, right? Like
Hutch is like, why can't that be me?
Oh god. I could not find Aiden's double team percentage, but like, so I know it's not top 5 in the NFL, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 6th. I mean, like he just seems like he is chipped and doubled all of the time, So
yeah.
But Myles Garrett gets he gets doubled 30% of his pass rushes and is still this guy. That's why I think he's the defensive player of the year.
Yeah. Offensive Rookie of the Year went basically how we thought it would go. It's going to go to the quarterback.
Yep.
I still contend, like, I would have voted for Nakua. 2 people agreed with me, but he was the consensus. If it wasn't Stroud, it was Nakua kind of thing. Laporta got 43rd place votes, which was great. Gibbs out third placed Bijan.
Yeah. That must mean he was worth the 12th overall pick. So there we go.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think we both kind of settled on Will Anderson, although I was going to give it to Kobe Turner. He did exactly what he tied Aaron Donald's rookie record at interior defensive lineman for sacks and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And if it's good enough to give Aaron Donald it, when you do the same thing as a guy like him, I think it was there. But I think we both kind of agreed that the edge gets the flash. So I think we both kind of got that one right too. Yeah. I was actually a little bit surprised to see how many, like it was 16 to 14. Like if you look at some of these other ones, 48 to 2. This one was actually kind of close there. Like 39 to 7. Like most of these were kind of blowouts. There was a clear victor. But Will Anderson was not too much higher than Jalen Carter, and Kobe Turner had fewer second place votes, which hurt his total points. So closer on the first place than I thought. Comeback Player of the Year. I think we decided that it should be either Stafford or Mayfield, and it was kind of dealer's choice. And Flacco edged out DeMar Hamlin, who saw the field for like 11 snaps. So I was a little disappointed in seeing this one. I don't know. Flacco only played like 5 games or whatever. Although he played those 5 games really damn well, I would have been happier with either one of these guys winning it.
I don't care. I mean, like, I mean, I guess it's fine that we honor this, but like, okay. I mean, I just don't understand this of all of these awards. I understand this one the least, and I
Like the
just
particular voting or just why it exists?
why it exists. I just don't know or care about. I mean, like so
Celebrate
many
someone coming back from injury
well,
or some other
so many
thing,
people get
right?
hurt. Like, I mean, like
Yeah.
what differentiates one guy's ACL from another guy's ACL? You know,
How they
or
perform the next year.
right. Okay, so like if that's the case, then why did DeMar Hamlin get 140 points? Because he didn't
Because he
perform.
died. I think it was like
Right.
the
So like,
the severity of the injury, right? He died on field kind of thing.
but so
But
I
yeah, to your
understand that
point.
football caused him to die, right?
Yeah.
And then he got to not be dead anymore. And they were like, well, he could still have serious brain trauma from how long he was out, basically how long he was effectively dead.
Yeah.
And then until he was revived, you know, and it's like amazing that he's, you know, able to be on an NFL roster. Okay, that's all. I agree with all of that. And he
Yeah.
didn't play football. I mean, and like the arguments that I've heard for
Nice.
DeMar Hamlin is that he lived. And I was like, I've always thought that the reward for living was living. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be glib about that shit or anything, but like, I mean, like Joe Flacco, did he play a ton of games? No. Did Baker? Yeah. Did Matt? Yeah. Did Tua? Yeah. You know, but like
Yeah.
this
I was
singular thing just proves that the story matters, I think, more than almost anything else.
yeah. Coach of the year, Stefanski. I think that's who we both picked. And I think I picked Ryans. I would have liked to see Campbell, but I think clearly the way that the Lions finished last season and the expectations for this season plays into, well, yeah, sure, he met expectations. Cool. And it wasn't, hey, you did something for the first time in 3 decades. Awesome, right? So whereas Stefanski and Ryans had a bit different narrative. Like you said, the story matters there.
Yeah, I am surprised that they tied. I know that the tiebreaker is number of first place votes, but like,
Same.
yeah, I thought that was amazing that they got the same number of points, which shows you just how close it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when I look at this list and I'm like, okay, this is really just about expectations. Oh, Jeremy is on. What's up, Jeremy?
Kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions. What's up?
I do not know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Bilerick? That's probably terrible, but it's his first name's Jeremy. I can pronounce that just fine. But like, I think D'Amico Ryans and Kevin Stefanski did a great job this year, and they're completely worthy of being on this list. Like, but I don't know. I just of all this, like I am the most biased about this one because
Same.
I think that Dan deserved. I thought he deserved the win. I thought he was the best coach in the NFL. I mean, like he did something. Ball Rick. Yeah, nice. Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. I'll remember that one. But I thought, you know, he did something that the Lions organization hasn't done in 30 years, which is to win a playoff game, right?
Yeah.
And I know this is a regular season award.
And won
like
2.
That doesn't count. But like,
but we won the division for the first time in 3 decades too, right? Like this division didn't exist the last time we won our division, right? So yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. We got our Honolulu blue colored glasses. I don't want to take anything away from Stefanski and Ryans, but like I agree. I think Campbell did something amazing with us.
Yeah, this one I wanted to win just because I'm a Lions fan. So
yeah, and I was a little surprised. I picked Ben Johnson. I was a little surprised that he was not only not the winner, but he was third.
I thought maybe Bobby Slowick was the guy that was going to win this one. getting a rookie quarterback on a team winning division with no expectations, I thought was worthy of more than this. But like, Jim Schwartz is a real surprise to me. Like he was the coordinator of, if not the best, one of the best defenses in the league this year. Okay, great. I mean, like, you had Myles Garrett, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So I don't know.
Christy, welcome. Don't worry about coming in late. We can we'll take all comers whenever you get to show up. So,
and it's, according to her, it's fine that we're biased, so we're just going to run with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like it.
yeah. Yeah, I think that Jeremy here is saying what we're saying here, is that, like, basically, like, the Lions were expected to do what they did, so therefore it can't, the story's not going to be as good, so therefore you're probably, that's what it is. I mean, like, I don't think anybody had Cleveland winning the North, in their conference, but like,
yeah,
they did, so good job. That's fine. I mean, this is not stuff to get upset about.
The FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year. Brock Purdy surprises me as the Air Player of the Year, and Christian McCaffrey does not surprise me at all being the Ground Player of the Year. Sportsmanship Award went to Bobby Wagner.
Great.
And the things I just don't care about: Celebration of the Year, Moment of the Year. I just don't care about those.
Sure.
That is the list. I thought we did a pretty good job. I think the only ones that we really kind of missed on were the coaches. That might have been just the Honolulu blue colored glasses that we had too. So, I guess the comeback player of the year, but you never know what the motives are of the voters for that one. Like, what matters.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say, never bet money on this kind of stuff before the season on these awards.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the narratives are, and the narratives are what's going to drive it. Like, you have no idea who the MVP was going to be until like week 16. Yeah. So just don't do it.
Yeah. Preseason, you're throwing your money. It's like a lotto ticket. You just hope that something happens where you're right.
Jeremy says, want to hear your thoughts on the CFL phenom Matthew Betts, or Mathai. How do you say it? Matthew.
It's Matthew. It's a French Canadian name.
Quebec. All right. I didn't lose anything, Christy. I understand the Canadian Football League is a minor league when compared to the NFL, but 18 sacks in any league, professional league is fire. If they can find a dude that's effective at rushing the passer, I don't care where he comes from. I don't know
the pastor, depending on how the pastor is.
Exactly. Yeah. How he's behaving. But like, I don't know anything about this guy. I look forward to finding out about him. And all I care about is, do you find a tag team partner for Aiden Hutchinson? And if this guy's that cool, then let's focus our draft assets elsewhere, So I look forward to learning about him. Jeremy's ahead of the curve here. So.
Well, so we did the NFL awards. Let's talk about the Lions team awards. Sure. Who would we give? And I'm assuming the Lions do this, and they'll probably publish it at some point, or maybe the Detroit sports writers or something. Who would you give our offensive rookie of the year to?
So that's super easy. It's Sam Laporta, and it's not even. It's not even close. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs had a great year. But like, Sam Laporta might be legit be challenging for best tight end in the NFL. Is how good his year was.
Yeah,
Frank Ragnow, he was a warrior. He was an absolute warrior.
Defense. Back. I know. Thank God. We'll talk about that later, maybe. Defensive rookie of the year. Branch.
Was there another rookie? I mean, Roger. They went. I guess Jack Campbell, but I'm never going to vote for Jack Campbell.
Stop it.
Get the rookie of the year. Yeah, I'll say Branch. Yeah,
yeah.
Because Broderick Martin didn't play, at times it
Campbell
looked like
wasn't.
Jack Campbell wasn't playing. I mean, like,
Yeah, he wasn't worth a roster spot for 12 of the 17 games.
it was pretty. I mean, like, I do like going into next season. Like, one of my like, ooh, this will be great if, like, I'll be looking for like the sophomore leap or step forward from Jack Campbell because, if like there's two areas that I really just want to see him get better at, and that's tackling and coverage.
Yeah.
And so if he can take a step and like hang with a tight end or running back or eat up stuff in the flats or whatever, then I'll start changing my tune. But like,
yeah.
So
MVP.
I don't know how to. It's got to be Jared Goff. I mean, like he's the most important player on the team. Had one of his best seasons, if not the best season that he's had as a professional football player.
Yep.
And even if like I'll even take this one off the field a little bit. Like when you've got people at like high school volleyball games and Red Wings games chanting your name.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Else. Yeah, I just don't know how you could say it's anybody else on the offense. I mean, like, so.
Yeah, it was Red Wings games, Pistons games, Michigan and Michigan State games. I didn't hear about the high school volleyball, but it legitimately does not surprise me.
If people were gathering, they were chanting his name, like so.
I saw someone post on Facebook about Hope Father whatever forgives me when I start chanting Jared Goff at church, and that kind. I can't imagine they did, but I maybe I don't know. I just that kind of support is pretty amazing. Offensive player of the year is it also our rookie of the year?
I don't know how it can't be. I mean, like what I would like to say is that it's somebody,
or is it Saint? Is it Sewell?
He's an all-pro. I mean, like he's an all-pro. I mean,
yep. Saint's an all-pro. Sewell was an all-pro. Laporta was not. He was Pro Bowl, right?
I think he was like second. Wasn't he like second team all-pro?
Was he? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he certainly did go to the Pro Bowl. But like, I think that the nice thing about this discussion is that you have choices. It could be St. Brown. It could be Penei Sewell. Like, pick your favorite.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna be upset about either one of them. Like, if Jeremy wants Frank Ragnow, I get it. But ultimately, like, I don't know that it really matters. I mean. So, I mean, I think that Frank Ragnow did a great job, especially through some adversity. He's always got the toe issue that's never going away. He obviously played on a sprained ankle and knee. That's amazing. And he's just been super, super consistent for this team as long as he's been in the NFL. But like Penei Sewell might be the best right tackle in the NFL or the best tackle. I don't know.
He was first out of 81.
But like, tell me how valuable that thing is compared to like what St. Brown did. I don't know. So I don't really have a great way to say it.
I was chatting with Asics the other day, and he was talking about the edge rushers, like the high end edge rushers, and is a left tackle still more valuable than a right tackle, and why? And we were looking at the edge rushers, and almost all of them, all of the high-end ones, are rushing off at the right tackle and not the left tackle.
Sure.
And I'm like, no, that can't be right. And he had the same conversation with his buddies, and we started looking it up, and I'm like, I'll be damned. Like, other than Myles Garrett, who I believe was rushing at the left tackle pretty high percentage of the time, almost everybody else in like the top 7, top 8 edge rushers are all coming more of their snaps at the right tackle than the left. And that kind of blew my mind, to be honest. So the question is, because it's not the blind side, right?
Sure. You want
to sneak up. Yes. But you kind of want to sneak up on that quarterback, right? That's why you typically would go for the blind side. They don't see you coming. If they can see you coming, they'll throw the ball away or dodge you or whatever. But it kind of boggled my mind that basically Sewell on average would be facing the better competition because they typically will come at him. Which do we even want to move him to the left if Ragno retires or whatever? Like, not if everybody's coming from the right.
So I think that there's several things that play into this, and I think that the first thing is teams for the better part of, I don't know, maybe Jeremy can help me out here. When did Lawrence Taylor sack that guy from Washington and break his leg?
Oh, Joe Theismann.
Joe Theismann. Yeah. When did Theismann's leg get shattered? Because that was the start of, you have to protect the blind side for the reasons that you said. Right.
Yeah.
You can't see him coming. I don't know that that's a detriment anymore. To be honest, like if a quarterback can see you coming and you can move that guy off of his spot, it messes up timing, it messes up the launch angle, like it gets converted into a pressure, right? And pressures are valuable in the modern day NFL. And so, like, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I am going to take my best pass rusher and I'm lining them up over what I perceive to be the weakest tackle that the other team is presenting me. So if that means that if I had Myles Garrett, I would line him up across from Eric Decker. And yes. I don't care. But like, if you flipped him around and say, hey, Penei Sewell, 2024, we want you on the left, we're going to move Decker to the right, I'm lining Garrett up over the right side. Because I want my best pass rusher to have the better matchup, because it's better to get pressure, period.
Yeah.
Than to not get pressure. So
yeah,
so gross. But like,
yeah, 1985, like, November 18th, by the way.
So you will see Aiden get lined up over guards as well, and like that's not uncommon anymore to have like your best pass rusher line up over wherever you think the matchup is, and so I think that the idea of the blind side is being phased out by the modern NFL, and you're just going to, how do I get my best pass rusher in the best matchup that I can get? So that's why right tackles have become more popular, to have the Lions have a good one, and therefore they're ahead of the curve. But there's a lot of tackles in this upcoming class that are going to get drafted to play right tackle.
Well, and that's kind of the other piece of it, right? Is when it comes to contract time, are you going to get paid more because you're a left tackle versus a right tackle? And I think the answer at this point, no, because our edge rushers, when I say our, I mean like the NFL's edge rushers, like you said, will pick the weakest side. Sometimes they're rushing on the left, sometimes it's rushing on the right. It doesn't really matter. So if you're expected to just excel on whichever side you're at, you just get paid based on, all right, how good of a tackle are you, right?
Yeah, if I'm Penei Sewell, so right now the highest average per year right tackle is Lane Johnson at just over $20 million, and the highest paid left tackle is Laramie Tunstall at just over 25. But when the Lions pay Penei Sewell, and they're gonna,
they better.
That's not there's no doubt.
It's not an if, it's a when.
I am as certain of that as I am the sun coming up in the morning. So like, he will start to drag that total up. And as we get more, but then we need the next Penei Sewell, right, to help keep dragging and like evening out those numbers. The point is you can no longer just have one elite tackle on your team. You have to have two.
You need bookends.
Right.
Yep. And that's why you also need two elite pass rushers, right? Yeah, because you want to be able to have that.
Pass rushers and corners, you can not have enough of them.
Yep. All right, so back to the original conversation. Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
We got Ragnow as the highest graded center in the NFL. We got Sewell as the highest graded tackle in the NFL. Saint was the fourth best wide receiver. Laporta was the sixth best tight end. And I think it's got to be probably one of those. So Saint, Laporta, or if we want to go with an offensive lineman for Offensive Player of the Year, it'd be a little bit rebellish. Like, I think one of those guys.
So Jeremy's going to say Frank. I'm going to say St. Brown. So who's yours?
I think it's going to be St. Brown. Like, as much as I think Sewell is our best offensive player, most talented, best offensive player, I think Saint was the guy that did the most. 1,400 yards. He was our third down catching machine. Like, every time we needed a play, he was there for it. I think I'd go with St. Brown.
Yeah.
So Sewell would be my number 2. He would get my second place vote. And I'd probably put Laporta at the third place vote.
I don't know. I could see Frank Ragnow being the third. I mean,
yeah.
I don't. It's fine. St. Brown for me. Hooray.
Yeah. Defensive player of the year.
It's very easy for me. It's Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay.
Aiden Hutchinson, as far as I'm concerned, is the most important player on the defense, and it's not close. Like, individually, it's not close.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that Jeremy in the chat said that, like, Ali McNeil had a great year. Yeah, he had a great year. And I really am thankful that he took that next step in his development. But the team has zero pass rush without Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
None. Zero. So he's it. So he gets the nod for me. And I will probably just keep thinking that until Betts here takes off and gets us 12 or 15 sacks and is just some beast. So
I'd be happy with that.
You know what? Yeah. That would be great. So I'm really.
I think for the same reasons you just listed, he's also mine. He's the most talented, most effective, and most important player on our defense.
Yeah.
All right, so this is going to be an interesting one. This is not something that you typically will do at the NFL awards. They don't have a most improved player, but this is a team award, so we can do that, and because it's our show, we can do it whatever the hell we want.
That's correct.
So, which is the best part of this, right? You don't like it? All right. Most improved player. Who do you think has most improved from last year to this year?
Yeah, Jeremy beat me to it, you son of a bitch. It's Iffy Melifonwu. So, I mean, like, Iffy was hurt his first 2 seasons. He was drafted as a corner. They converted him to a safety. That process had to take time. You have to not be hurt in order to make that process successful. And then I don't remember Tracy Walker getting hurt or being like, I don't want to play anymore. And then all of a sudden, Iffy Melifonwu's got his job. And then he became like our second best pass rusher near the end of the year. And like this was like a 6 or 7 game renaissance for his career. But like, I think that he has done enough for me to say I would make Tracy Walker a post June 1 cut, and I would let Chauncey Gardner-Johnson walk in free agency. And I will walk into next year with Iffy at strong, Kirby at free, and Branch in the nickel. And if I need to sign a really cheap 1-year prove-it deal or draft somebody in like round 4 or something of the NFL draft as like my developmental special teams player / relief safety, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, if they want to put Walker on the blocks, fine with me. Fine. Get something for him. Otherwise, I'll be fine with the $8 million on a post June 1 cut. So,
yeah. And I've got Iffy as mine as well. He didn't play as many snaps as some of the other starters. He played 535, which is still not bad, right?
No.
The other guy that I was considering was Derek Barnes. I thought he made a pretty good step up, but Iffy, I mean, he was 9th out of 95 at his position at safety. So that's nowhere near what we thought he was.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I was thrilled that Barnes played as well as he did this year. And as far as I'm concerned, like, he needed a year like this to be on the roster, you know, to like get maybe that second contract. But I mean, but they drafted Jack Campbell to be a starter.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
they were going to start him to give him the reps right from the start, right? Like,
I don't think that Barnes is a starter, you know, but like, I think that he has done enough to prove that like I'm a valuable member of this team, and you need depth guys as well. And like I think that if next year looks like this past year, then I think that you sign him to some small multi-year contract to keep him on the roster.
Yeah. I didn't throw it on the banner there. I am kind of curious because this isn't really as much as an award as it is more closer to a raspberry. Who is the most disappointing player on the team?
Oh, that's tough. There's a couple ways I could go with this, I think. Yeah, okay. You can say Cam Sutton. Like, he was the big offseason acquisition. I just think that he's overmatched because the relative lack of coverage skills in the rest of the secondary. Yeah. Kirby is a ball hawk, sideline to sideline kind of free safety. Iffy is not a coverage guy. Branch is a rookie, and like they had Jerry Jacobs, who was also going to be the guy that I thought might be the most disappointing, but he didn't come with the kind of expectations that Sutton did. Like, I could also say Jack Campbell.
At number 1, first round, 18th overall.
If you're the 18th pick in the draft, and maybe this is unfair because I know that I'm biased because I didn't like the pick, but like, if you're the 18th pick in the draft, I don't know. I don't know what I wanted to see. I know I didn't see it, but like, I think Cam Sutton would be a fine person to go with. Like, I would be extremely anxious to see what he looks like, how he plays, if there is another guy worth his shit across the field. Like, if Aiden Hutchinson needs a tag team partner, Cam Sutton is the next guy on the team that needs a tag team partner. So
yeah, he's I feel like he's the low-hanging fruit to pick on, but I also don't think he was drafted to be a number 1 corner. I thought that was Emmanuel Mosley was going to be our number 1 corner, and he just got thrust into that, like you said, just overmatched. There's only so much one guy can do when the rest of your cornerback room is hurt or terrible. Like, all of a sudden you try to do too much and it just never works out. So he's the low-hanging fruit of that. I just like you, I'm not sure on Jack Campbell, like the 18th overall pick. Like, I feel should have been better than the 13th best graded at his position as a rookie, like 13th out of 17 rookies. He should have been number 1 or maybe 2, but like, undrafted free agents performed better than him.
Sure.
Right. So like, that's disappointing. But I think outside of Sutton, I think I was disappointed, not in the performance, but I was disappointed that Houston got hurt and was unable to be that guy on the other side of Hutch. So it's not like he had a disappointing performance. I was just disappointed he wasn't playing because I think that could have made a big difference in our pass rush. So yeah, slightly different than like what I asked, but like,
sure.
Because I think Cam Sutton, I think, is I want to say the obvious, like that's the easy to go to. So I want to do a little different there, but
I think it's easy to go to because it was obvious, right? So like, and the obviousness has to be addressed. But like, yeah, if James Houston had, I think this is something that you and I said in the preseason, which is that if this guy shows that he could be a 10 sack plus guy across from Aiden Hutchinson, like, he's worth something, and like, we don't know that. We have an 8-game stretch in 2 seasons of James Houston. So like, now we're going to go into next year and he's got bets to compete with. And maybe he's got a draft pick or a free agent signing or a trade. Like Hassan Reddick might be on his way out in Philadelphia. Like, I would call up Howie Roseman and be like, "Hey Howie, what's up?" But like, you don't know. Like, I mean, I don't think they'll do those things, but like, it's always possible. Like, Brad shit surprised me last April. So,
it's
like,
true.
Oh, by the way, I went back and I watched our footage from draft night.
Yeah.
I counted who won what pick.
Yeah.
So your only issue wasn't the number that you got right. It was that
which was already small,
which was smaller than some, but like your issue was when you got something right, you had to share.
Yeah.
So like no matter what, even Danny won like 2 or 3 bets where it was just like, I'm just getting the $4 out of that we put in the last bit. But like that's twice what you got on some of the things because it was like you had to give some of the stupid coins back to Brian, which I talked about, and I was like, no more coins, dude. You got to bring it. So he was like $2 bills, and I was like, fine, it's not a coin. So technically, but stop being a jerk about
it. Yeah, I think I only got 4 right the entire 32 picks. It was a rough night for me.
Yeah, I wasn't that far behind you as far as the number of picks I got right, but like I got the first.
You got rollover pots.
Yeah, but like so like my first pick was at pick 6, Arizona, and no one had the whole kitty had just been building the entire time. So I won $24 on my first win.
Yeah.
That's more than I brought, so
you're like, I won for tonight. Yeah. So speaking of Hutch and running buddies, and we, I kind of started out talking about the Super Bowl and whatnot. I didn't do any news and notes around the NFL or anything like that. Sure. One of the things that I had heard was the LA Chargers are listening to offers on Joey Bosa. They are currently $45.8 million over the cap. $10 million is going to be going to their rookie draft class. So their effective cap space is negative $55.8 million. Wow. What do you do? Like if the Chargers come calling and say, hey, like, you want somebody on the other side of Hutch, right? Well, of course we do. Like, what do you do there? Do you say, nah, it's too rich, but I'll listen? Like, what is too rich for you to grab a guy like Joey Bosa?
I don't know. I'd give up 29 for him.
just 29?
Well, I mean, like that's where I would start. I mean, I would say. So when you're trading for guys with big contracts, you can either take on a bunch of money and give a lesser pick, or you can give a better pick and take on less money. So in the Chargers scenario, they want to shed money, so you don't get as good of a pick. That's just how shit works.
Yeah.
So like, I would say we'll give you 29 for Joey straight, and then we'll take on a bigger portion of his cap than we would necessarily have to, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's some wiggle room in there, and I would say I would offer to take some of the wiggle room. Like, so the Lions are going to have $45 million to play with. That's after their cap. That's after their rookie deals. That's after their practice squad guys. So like you've got $45 million to play with. You're going to want some walking around money for the actual season. So give them 10 to 15 for that. So let's say they've got $30 million to play with. Right? Like you can't just spend $30 million on a Joey Bosa and expect to have 53 guys suit up. There's just not enough picks in the draft to replace the guys that you're losing.
Right.
So like, I think that answers like, so it depends on when you're having the conversation. So like, do you want to re-sign Jonah? There's another 10 million, possibly. He's what? He's 29. He'll be 30. He's coming off an ACL. He's got what? His contract is that he has no guaranteed salary. So he's only got this upcoming year and next year on his deal. Like if you are the Lions and you're like, we're a Joey Bosa away from
a dominant defense.
Or going to the Super Bowl. I mean, like, is the expectation not going to get back to the NFC title game next year?
Oh, 100%, right? Yeah.
So, like, if that's the expectation, I think Joey Bosa is what I would consider to be a needle mover. And if you want this conversation to be about Khalil Mack as opposed to Joey Bosa, fine. So, like, but like, Jeremy, what player in the NFL doesn't miss games? I mean, like
quarterbacks, because they don't get hit. But even that's not true. There were so many backup quarterbacks playing this year. That it was kind of crazy.
So I mean, but like his point's well received. Like, do you want to
Yeah.
pay a premium price for somebody that's not going to be out there every week? And like, well, so Hutchinson is 24 years old, right? Like Joey Bosa's not. You know,
Yeah.
Joey Bosa's an established pass rusher. I mean, like the fact that somebody like Joey Bosa is available, you don't get a Hutchinson level player who's available for trade because of this team's kind of scenario that they found themselves in. And so, you know, like if you're talking about like what, like Will Anderson
It's 33.
from Houston, I mean, like he's not going to be. You're not going to trade for a guy like that. Like teams are going to give those kind of developmental high draft picks chances to become core players. So I mean, like, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean the money is a huge detractor, which is probably why they won't do it, right? Like, Brad Holmes has never made a move like that. I'm going to exclude Matthew Stafford since I don't know that Brad Holmes had 100% control of that situation.
Yeah.
You know, and so like we haven't seen Brad go all in on a player like a Joey Bosa, but like I believe that you have small windows of time in order to do something special in the NFL. Like look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They go to the Super Bowl one year, they get past the Chiefs. You know, they beat the, they get past all the landmines you have to dodge in the AFC. They go to the Super Bowl, they lose to the Rams. Right? Next year, like it didn't work out. This year, Joe Burrow got hurt. Like, when are they going to make it back to the Super Bowl? We have no idea.
Right.
So even
and
though
now
like,
they've got Lamar Jackson, who's playing well again. You have to go through Mahomes. You have to go through Josh Allen. It's going to be tough. Like the AFC is going to just cannibalize each other.
Yeah, it's crazy. So like I think that the Lions in the weaker conference have an opportunity to capitalize in the right now. But like you're talking about $36 million right now, but like you're going to pay Penei Sewell an ungodly number. And then the year after that, you're going to pay Aiden Hutchinson an ungodly number. Like, these guys that are playing well, that are on rookie deals, are going to come up for deals like the ones that you are suggesting. And then like, you will not have an opportunity to ever go out and get a player like a Joey Bosa. Like if you don't make a move like this, when you have your core on rookie deals, you don't get to make them.
Well, and one thing to think about is, these are, 36.6 and basically $33 million are big cap hit numbers. But we could very easily restructure that to have those numbers different when it comes to, because there's no guaranteed money, right? So we could make the trade. We could add a void year and basically cut that cap number by a third. And if all of a sudden his cap number's $22 million, is that a lot more? Is that more attractive? Knowing that you're going to have $14 million of void year money 2 years from now when the cap's going to be up $50 million. I mean, that's not terrible. So it's all about cap management at that point, right?
I believe you are allowed to restructure the base salary plus whatever's doing roster bonuses.
Yeah.
So there would be some percentage of $22 million that you would be able to trade for Joey Bosa or some other player in a similar situation and restructure. So like the guy that I was kind of interested in was Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints, because they're in a similar cap hell and they have to get on.
Yeah.
Can you raid these teams? And like, I just don't know that, like,
God, look at that.
It's just unbelievable. It's an unbelievable number.
83.6 million.
The only reason it's believable is because this team was in this exact same position 2 years ago. But like, regardless, like, I think the point is, how are you going to add like a difference maker to this team? Because if you go out and buy, and sign a bunch of second wave free agents to make up the 53, and then you go into your draft and you just draft guys at your spots, then I'm like, I don't know that who the difference makers are, right? Like, I don't think that the Lions can just afford, if they want to be in the conversation for like conference championships, Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl wins. I don't think that they can just say, well, we're just going to keep drafting and re-signing our guys and we'll eventually get there. Like, I don't know of any NFL team that's like doing that and not drafting like top 5 best all-time quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll be curious to see how the free agency kind of winds up. We've got some pretty strong free agents out there. Chris Jones from the Chiefs is going to be a free agent. Josh Allen, the edge from the Jaguars, is going to be a free agent. T. Higgins, I don't see us going for a wide receiver at free agency. Brian Burns is another edge. So, like, we've got a couple really solid edge rushers in free agency that's available.
Let me make just a quick prediction real quick.
Yeah.
All right? None of the people that you said are going to get on the market. None of them.
So, huh?
No.
I don't think Chris Jones will. I think he'll stay.
If I am going to use the lesser of the 2 franchise tags on all of these guys, like Snead included. Like, if I am the teams that these good players are leaving, I would be shocked if Kansas City was like, we're just going to let Chris Jones enter free agency. That would be shocking. It would be shocking to me if Brian Burns was just able to enter unrestricted free agency. Like, when does that ever happen? I think if you took this list and you just applied a franchise tag to 8 to 12 players, that's where the discussion begins. So, like with Jeremy's last post here, I don't think there's any chance that L'Jarius Sneed enters free agency. 0. I would bet on 0%. But what is it? Chidi Awuzie from Cincinnati, he might. And like, if Adoree Jackson enters free agency, I don't know that anybody cares, but like,
somebody will snag him, but like, sure, it's not going to be devastating to lose, right?
Correct. But like Josh Allen, these are pipe dreams. These are guys that never get there.
I think that the only way Josh Allen gets it is if he tells them, I'm not playing for you. Like, don't tag me.
Even if he says that, you still tag him. Because now, when I trade him, I'm guaranteed at least a first-round pick. And if he doesn't, if he sits out, that's why players never win these races anymore. Like Chris Jones did this. Like, if he sits out, he doesn't he loses a certain amount of time. He doesn't accrue a year as to the amount of time he's been in the league. And there's money that matters based upon that. So like all of these players that are like, I'm going to sit out, like this current CBA is set up to make that a non-reality. So yeah, I mean, like all these guys are going to get tagged because they're just too valuable to let you walk.
Antoine Winfield Jr. We don't need safety, so that doesn't matter. Jalen Johnson?
Tagged.
Think so?
Tagged or re-signed. Like the teams with the best chance to sign these players are the ones they're currently playing for. Then they don't have to move. Then they don't have to learn something new or whatever. Now, the money might outweigh that, but then they also don't have the choice. Like Jalen Johnson, L'Jarius Sneed, they don't control whether or not they get tagged.
Yeah.
So like what I would do is I would just be like, so like Danielle Hunter, right? Danielle Hunter might be in a different situation because if the Vikings re-sign Kirk Cousins and then extend Justin Jefferson, which is an absolute must, everybody, they have no more money for Danielle Hunter. They price themselves out of being able to even tag him because that's just guaranteed money.
Yeah.
That's coming straight off the top of your cap, right?
Ain't nothing you can do about it. There's no cap finagling.
Right. So like he might make it. And so I saw someone on some Facebook post that was like, Lions are rumored to sign Danielle Hunter to like a 5-year, $67 million contract. And I was like, no, thanks.
67 is all? $13 million a year?
I mean, like,
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
I don't think,
although 5 years, how old is he?
Well, I mean, like, I don't think that I think he's either 29 or 30, maybe a little bit older, but like, I don't think there's any chance he doesn't He signs for $13 million a year on the open market. He might be the number one pass rusher. It says it up at the top, Mike, in parentheses. 29.2.
Okay. I saw the 0.2 and I'm like, that can't be the age. But
it is.
Date of birth right there. I'll be damned. So 29.
94.
Yep. I was a junior in high school.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm old.
I just don't. If Brad Holmes holds serve on how he has treated free agency, it will not be a day one guy. It'll be he will sign primarily maybe day two guys, more likely day three guys. And you're gonna, I mean, like, and they might, the guys that they might sign are probably not even on this list.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you have to go all the way down to like 98 before you get to Jonah Jackson, who I'm advocating that we don't re-sign. You know? So like, I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because we talked about Les Snead's F them picks, right? Like, hey, our first round draft choices, or our first round draft picks are assets we can use to build a team. We can draft with them, or we can trade for established people with them. And they worked that system flawlessly for multiple years and got to the Super Bowl twice using that system. But I think you have to be at that certain spot where you are a person or two away, where you can kind of pick and choose. Like, I want this number one draft pick right now for this thing, and I'm going to go trade for that guy if he's available. And we might be at that point. I'm just not sure who would be available with that first. Like, I would trade 29 for Joey Bosa. I would do that, right? I'm not sure. I mean, I'd probably do it for Donnell Hunter or Brian Burns. Those guys, if they franchise and trade, I'd be fine with that. But it'll be curious to see how we do those. What we use those picks for, if we're going to do any trades.
Sure. You know, the one thing I think Brad Holmes has indicated that he's not afraid to do is move up and down in the draft.
Yeah.
So they got they got one extra third round pick. You know, I think they're missing a fourth. You know, that was the exchange with the Vikings for Hawk. You know,
yeah,
so
I think we bumped it up to third, right? From fourth to third. That's why we have 2 30s.
Yeah. You know, so like there's a little extra wiggle room or whatever, but like, you know, like I think that if you want a top 5 cornerback in this NFL draft, you're going to have to move up from where they are. I think if you want to get one of the pass rushers worth taking in the first round, you're going to have to move up from where they are. I hate where they are. Like, yeah, it's entirely possible that somebody falls to 29 that wasn't supposed to go, and then you just go the Ravens route, and you're just like, value. We'll just take a good player, you know, and like, all right,
best player available.
Now we're gonna do this, you know, or what have you. But like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I do advocate. I'm advocating for more aggression than I usually do. So,
yeah.
Well, should we do a quick draft, Mike, and just
Well, let's do this. Let's not do that today. We've already run an hour 23. Let's talk about next week's special guest.
Yeah, but are we going to be able to draft next week, though?
Probably, if we want to.
All right.
It depends on how long we're going to be talking with Kent.
So next week we are going to have Kent Lee Platt from, you might know him as Math Bomb on Twitter. He is the creator of the relative athletic score, I believe. So, and this is a new metric that's being used to gauge athleticism of NFL draft
prospects.
Yes, thank you. I can't believe I couldn't get it out. You know, and so we are going to talk to him a little bit about the Lions, why he came up with this score, how it's used, what we can infer about draft prospects by using his metric, and you know, and maybe just have some. Maybe he'll join us on the. Maybe he'll join us for the mock. Who knows?
Yeah,
might be fun. We can always.
It'll be interesting. And these RAS scores, they are post combine, right? Don't they get a lot of that information from the combine? I don't.
Yeah. So if
we'll talk more next week, but
if you go to his page and look at the information that he is plugging into to make the score, it is, from what I can tell, all coming from the physical testing section of the NFL Draft Combine. So,
gotcha.
So the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, they help a little bit with that. But of course, the Combine is the single best place, singular source to go for it. So,
yeah.
So,
looking forward to that. It's been a while since we've had a special guest, especially around the analytics and kind of stuff that we kind of focus on and kind of our jam. So it'll be good to see that.
Yeah.
But other than that, that was I know we kind of talked about maybe doing a final mock, but I think we're probably just better off doing that next week.
I'm fine
as
doing
late
it
as it's
right
been.
now.
I know. I can't stick around. Do you want to keep going without me? Because I gotta run. All right. Anything else before we catch everybody next week?
No. Not really. Not that I can think of. Not that I want to get into in the last 30 seconds of the podcast.
Right on.
So,
looks like Kneecap Biting had his first mock draft 1-0 last night. I'll be curious to see what he ended up with. What was spoiler alert? Well, who did you have the Lions taking at 29?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. We'll wait.
So,
why don't you plug the show while he's typing up his?
All right, yeah. So yeah, let's. We'll be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. as always. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Tell your friends. We've got. I know it's not just us. So we got 97 subscribers. We're dangerously close, Drew, to triple digits.
Yeah. I don't know what we'll do. I did have this thought the other day. Like our group, our community, the people that jump into the chat are really, awesome. Really good people, and there's no trolling, there's no fights, there's no name calling or bullshit that goes on in the chat. I mean, Christy did agree with you a couple weeks ago to a degree that I felt was inappropriate, but like, other than that, I think that this is just like a group that I would be happy talking to week in, week out for however long we decide to do this. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it would be fun to have like tens of thousands of followers or what have you, but I'm super thrilled with this group. So
yeah.
Wow, Trice was still on the board at 61. Jeremy, there's no cornerback in that group.
Yeah, he went Graham Barton because all the cornerbacks and the edge guys worth picking were gone. So,
oh, you did was the Alabama kicker Reichland still on the board, or Ricard still on the board in seventh? Because that's, I have in my
I'd take two. Take a guy in the 6th and take a guy in the 7th. We need somebody.
Stop doing that. Okay. Yeah, Christy didn't like the joke, so I apologize for that, Christy. But in my most recent mock, I had the Lions with their 6th round pick drafting Alabama's kicker. Like, I think his name's Will Ricard or what have you. So, I think that's on the docket. It's on the itinerary. Got to address it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Drew, it was good chatting with you. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Christy, Kneecap. Oh my gosh, we had a bunch of people. Donkey Kong was there. Who else?
Really?
Zako was there. Joey popped in. He started out. So we had a good crew popping in. If I missed anybody, I apologize. But it was fun. We'll catch up next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's gonna be great
with Kent Lee Platt and check out the RAS stuff.
Now it's time to really break down and start learning about his stuff so we can ask intelligent questions. So 1 week. I think.
We'll talk with him next week. We'll look at potential franchise and transition tag players because after that. it'll be starting to be like combined and that kind of stuff. So we'll start doing our research as well on our grades for our players, how they compared to others in their draft class and their position, that kind of stuff. And we'll roll that through the rest of the summer and into free agency. So it'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. My favorite time of the year. So
yeah,
can't wait.
It's the building of the pride, right? It's where we're building. Yeah.
That's right.
So, all right, guys, we'll see you later. Drew, always nice to see and talk to you.
Yeah, you too, man.
All right, later.